Braille class, I hope that you are all well. I'm going to read a little story for you today. So the story that we're going to start today and we're going to finish off hopefully by the end of this week is called The Princess and the Wizard. Who do you think is the princess and who do you think is the wizard? Have a think. And it's by Julia Donaldson and it's illustrated by Lydia Monks. An illustrator is the person that draws the pictures. So the lovely pictures in this book. It was Princess Eliza's birthday. She was just blowing out the 7 candles on her cake when a wicked wizard flew down the chimney and into the room. "Why didn't you invite me to your party?" he thundered. "Because wicked wizards like turning people to stone," replied Princess Eliza. "So they do," said the wizard, and with a flick of his bony fingers, he turned the king, the queen, and all the party guests into stone. Then he laughed a horrible laugh and said to Princess Eliza, "They like capturing princesses too." Let's look at those pictures. So here's the mean wizard. And here's poor Princess Eliza. So if she's got 7 candles on her cake, how old do you think she is? Have a little think. And he's turned the poor party guests into stone. Just then, there was a whirling of wings and in through the window flew the princess's fairy godmother. She was late for the party. When she saw what had happened, she waved her wand and said, "The princess may try 7 times to escape by changing her colour and changing her shape." The wizard just laughed his horrible laugh and said, "Changing her colour and changing her shape will never have Princess Eliza escape." Then he snapped his bony fingers again and turned the fairy godmother to stone. That poor fairy godmother, he's a very horrible wizard, isn't he? The wizard whisked the princess up the chimney and carried her away to his tall, dark castle. He locked her into the cellar where she cried herself to sleep. You can see here the tears falling from her poor eyes. The next day was Monday. The wizard unlocked the cellar door. He was holding the big red book which contained all his magic. "This is your first chance to escape," he said. "I shall count to 100 and then I shall come and find you." He opened his book, closed his eyes and began to count. So you can see his big red spell book. I wonder whether she's going to be able to escape. We shall see. Princess Eliza ran outside. The moat of the castle shone blue under the blue sky. She jumped into the water and turned herself into a blue fish. I wonder whether you can see out of those fish which one you think Eliza might be. 98, 99, 100. The wizard opened his eyes, looked in his magic book and read, "To find where Eliza is hiding from you, look in the moat for the fish that is blue." He fished Eliza out of the moat and took her to his kitchen, which was full of blue plates and pots and pans. They were all covered in dried up food. "So you like blue, do you?" he said. "Then set to work and wash." And he locked her in. So he found poor Eliza and now she's got all these pots and pans to clean. On Tuesday morning, the wizard unlocked the kitchen door. He looked at the clean plates and pots and pans and he grunted. "Chance number 2, he said. Then he opened his book, closed his eyes and began to count. Princess Eliza ran to the farmyard. She turned herself into a yellow chick and hid in some straw. So you can see the straw here and hopefully you'll be able to see that this one here is Eliza because it's got beautiful eyelashes and it's a bit glittery as well. The straw in the farmyard is yellow and thick. Princess Eliza's disguised as a chick. Oh no. He scooped Eliza up and took her to a cupboard which was full of yellow socks. They all had holes in them made by his pointy toenails. Ooh, sounds like he needs those cutting. "So you like yellow, do you?" he said. "Then set to work and darn." And he locked her in. So she's basically got to sew all his socks up. Not good. On Wednesday morning, the wizard unlocked the cupboard door, looked at the darned socks and grunted. "Chance number 3, he said, and he opened his book, closed his eyes and began to count. Princess Eliza ran to the meadow. She changed herself into a green grasshopper and hid among the grass blades. But the wizard read in his book. The grasshopper princess is easily seen, chirping away in the meadow so green. You can see here, there she is hiding in the grass. He caught Eliza in a net and took her to his green bathroom. The bath, basin, walls and floor were covered in the wizard's slimy toothpaste. So you like green, do you? He said, then set to work and wipe, and he locked her in. 3 more days went by. Each day the princess tried to escape. On Thursday, she turned herself into an orange fox and hid in a pile of orange leaves. On Friday, she turned herself into a purple butterfly and fluttered among some purple flowers. On Saturday, she turned herself into a black cat and lurked in a black tunnel. But each time the wizard found her and gave her yet more work to do. You can see here that wicked wizard. And you can see poor Eliza. On Sunday morning, the wizard came onto the roof where Eliza had been scrubbing the sooty chimney pots. Instead of grunting, he laughed his horrible laugh. You can see here, she's on the chimney. There's the wizard. This is your last chance, he said. If I catch you this time, you must stay and work for me for the rest of your life. Then he opened his book, closed his eyes and began to count. Princess Eliza turned herself into a white gull and flew up into a cloud. But as she hovered above the roof where the wizard was still counting, she saw words forming on the page of his open book. So that's how he finds me, she cried. I shall never escape. Then she had an idea. She turned herself into a page of the wizard's book. A perfectly blank white page with no writing on it. 98, 99, 100. The wizard finished counting and began to read his book. The princess turned into a bird in the sky. She hid in a cloud, then she had one more try. That was the end of the page. The wizard turned over to read more, but there was no more. The next page of his book was blank and white. He flew into a rage. You stupid book, he shouted, and he hurled it into the moat. The moat is that water that surrounds his castle. The book landed with a splash and sank to the bottom. All the wizard's magic was gone. At that moment in the palace, the king and queen and all the party guests came back to life. Where is Princess Eliza? They asked each other. Nobody knew except the fairy godmother, and she only smiled and said nothing. Princess Eliza turned herself from a white page into a blue fish and was swimming to the edge of the moat. She turned herself into a yellow chick and ran across the corn in the farmyard. She turned herself into a green grasshopper and hopped over the grass. She turned herself into an orange fox and raced through the orange leaves. She turned herself into a purple butterfly and fluttered over the purple flowers. She turned herself into a black cat and streaked through the black tunnel. Then she turned herself into a white bird and flew. So she turned herself into all the things, all the animals and all the things that she tried to turn herself into before. So where do you think she's flown? All the way back to the palace and in through the window. She perched on a chair at the tea table and changed herself back into a princess. The king and queen and all the party guests hugged her. You can see she's feeling a lot happier now with her beautiful smile. Then Princess Eliza cut her birthday cake and everybody had a slice. Fantastic. I hope you enjoyed our reading time today. I will see you guys tomorrow.